You're Professor RashaAbdulla, and you're chair of the Department for Mass Communication, right?
Yes, I am.
What do you think of media coverage before the revolution and after the revolution in private and public media?
Private and public media. Well, the public media was shameful. It was point blank. They were reporting something on a different planet, basically. I don't think they were in the same country or the same Earth that we're on. The private networks did a much different job, did a much better job, because basically they had to. Because now, as you know, we're in the age of open skies, and people were already tuned to Al Jazeera and Al Arabiya and BBC and all other stations to get their news from there. And so basically there is no point to what the Egyptian television did other than losing any sort of credibility that they ever had with the Egyptian audience.
Do you think they had that pattern of ignoring what was actually going on before the revolution, before the protests?
Well, they ignored anything that spoke out loudly against the government, obviously, against the president, to be precise. They allowed some venting against the government as long as it doesn't touch the president. But when it came to the revolution, I mean, it was just too loud for them to include, I guess, which is, journalistically speaking, is just a shame.
Do you see a change in that now?
It's again a very sudden, unexplained change for no other reason other than the regime has changed, and so they now are serving a different entity than what they were serving before, and therefore the person that they thought was the greatest person on earth is now the lousiest person on earth, and we turn 180 degrees to the other side and start praising whoever now is in power, which is another problem, because this is public television. So what they should be serving is the public. They do not understand that. They somehow think who they are serving is the person in power. They should be serving the audience, the masses, not the person in power.
Some private media outlets sort of exaggerated some things that were going on.
Well, I mean, I'm sure, nobody can tell exactly what was going on, because what was going on was so pervasive and so big. I don't think any of us really managed to absorb it yet. And I mean, some people might have exaggerated, including the international outlets, not just the private entities. I mean, some people say Al Jazeera coverage, for example, was too sensationalized, or almost took the attitude of advocacy journalism rather than just pure reporting on the facts. But really, I mean, you'll never know that, because we were all in the middle of something, while some things might have been very obvious to people. The exact boundaries of that event and what happened and what didn't happen, in some cases, I don't think we'll ever know that. But it's better for me to have somebody who's trying to do the job and at least making an effort, rather than somebody who's intentionally ignoring what's happening and intentionally misleading public opinion by giving me a beautiful picture of the Nile.
What about global media, like not just Al Jazeera or Al Arabiya? What about like the big media outlets? What do you think their role was in covering events in Egypt before those 18 days, during and after those 18 days?
Something like CNN, for example, was always covering when something major was happening. I suppose they did do a decent job with the events in Egypt. Their reporters were all over, even in the days when the government really cracked down on foreign reporters, and I know that some of them faced personal hassles that were not easy to deal with, but they hung in there and they managed to get the picture across.